what you are. I know what you think you are. Oh, you think just because you have a reputation for being a sequel to Dark Souls 2 and all that other stuff like the Demon Soul, that, oh, I can't be a match for you just because I did the review of Dark Souls 2 and wasn't a big fan. But yeah, you think you're better than me. You think I can't take you on. You think it's too bad for anyone. Well, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. So this review is of Bloodborne.
So yes, Bloodborne. I know this review is late, but come on, we have like a million other videos to put together. Plus, this game isn't exactly short, so there was a lot of ground to cover. And with it being a continuation of the Dark Demon Souls lineup, that could only mean this is not going to be a pleasant venture. Okay, now to start things off, it would probably be best to give you the rundown of the story.
Now, one thing you gotta understand about the Souls, Dark Demon Souls franchises is about their stories. None of them are exactly spoon-fed to you. In fact, by the end of the game, you'll be lucky if you understand anything at all.
But from what I've gathered, you have this city called Yharnam. The clergy, or people of the cathedral, managed to create a concoction using a form of blood. According to the tale, the blood, when consumed, has a healing factor that would make Deadpool jealous. Supposedly, it can cure just about anything. Sometime after the success rates and praise of the church for its miracle blood people love to consume left and right, things started to go wrong, as citizens, who probably consumed more blood than they should have, started to exhibit strange behavior and, worst case, started changing. It didn't take long for people to realize that the blood was tainted, and the cause for these changes, most of which resulted in death surrounding the city. The cathedral ended up cutting Yharnam off, essentially abandoning it, as told by survivors who felt betrayed. However, all was not lost, as hunters would rise and claim a single evening as the night of the hunt, where strong clergymen and even villagers would storm into the city and kill all beasts swarming it. Others would often hide inside their homes, surrounded in red lanterns and incense, which for some reason kept monsters at bay. Unfortunately, the potency of the blood proved to be too much for even the hunters, which is now causing many of them to wander aimlessly, willing to slaughter anything out of the norm with a hunt that may never end. With multiple playthroughs, more secrets about the world's past would probably be discovered, as what I've mentioned are really just the cliff notes of what I've discovered as I ran through the Gothic world. As for your nameless character, it's hinted that he was a very sick person too, seeking the blood so he could be cured possibly of a fatal illness. From there, he's put into the position of being a new hunter, sent to kill beasts as well. I found this type of storytelling very interesting and honestly far more fun for me personally as an adventurer. Instead of being beaten over the head with exposition, leaving no mystery to solve, Bloodborne does the exact opposite, providing a little narrative out of anyone aside from a couple of cutscenes. Most of the time, in order to discover the truth about the people and the world you're in, you will talk to individuals in hiding, find various journals scattered, and plain and simply observe your surroundings to arrive at a very logical conclusion, as well as possibly come up with interesting theories.
Now, the gameplay, as far as I would imagine, would be quite similar to the predecessors in the Dark Souls, Demon Souls franchise, albeit for changing a few things just for the sake of trying new things.
The first thing I noticed from the character creation, though wide with its offerings of how to build your character, there's really no real difference in terms of class. Well, there is, but it's mostly in regards to what you will start out with. What I mean, like, when you choose a warrior or a white mage, black mage, that sort of thing. None of that is there. No matter the option you choose, you will receive the same options for weaponry and gameplay type each time. But how you go about it will still be up to you, because the choices and classes really range from just about whether you're going to start the game naked or balanced with statistics. When confronting an enemy, which you will be doing a lot, you have plenty to work with, so you're not grounded. Your main weapon, a sword or a melee armament, will be used with the right triggers as a weak and heavy attack. Your left shoulder button will be used as a deterrent or a staggering weapon, such as a gun or a torch. Don't be fooled though. While the gun is very useful with quick timing and staggering an enemy for a critical hit, it's not very reliable in combat for killing anything. I mean, well, not really. The left shoulder button has a different feature altogether. Pressing this will transform your melee weapon into an even bigger and more powerful one with wider reach. To compensate, it's a little slower to wield, but I think the payoff is worth it, especially when you use it right in certain situations. While wielding it, your left shoulder button now becomes a third attack. While running, dodging, and moving the analog stick in unison with any of these attacks, your character can execute a plethora of diverse combos. Many weapons you find and buy will do different things, and attack in various ways, so there is plenty to experiment with, allowing the player to grow accustomed to their own gameplay style that suits them best. And I think the key word here is options, which you have a lot of. The game's odds are stacked against you, but you are by no means helpless, as even items you find can be useful. Blood vials, which you will find often, can regenerate health. Pebbles can be used as a distraction to lure enemies away from each other, and cocktails can be used to ignite enemies in flames. And the list goes on. Running in headfirst to combat can prove fatal, especially if you are unprepared. As a player, you will need to think strategically about most of the enemies you encounter. You have a dodge button. Use it. Often, you will need to stick and move, and do not get greedy with racking up damage. You are a flexible character, but you do not make a good punching bag, so trying to avoid taking damage is absolutely essential, since you are very mortal and very killable. Now, these days in video games, dying or losing is often no big deal anymore. We've grown accustomed to checkpoints and nearby respawning areas to quickly get us back on our feet and continue from where we fell. However, with Bloodborne, that is not the case, as losing here is equal to the punishment you would get back from a generation of gaming long ago. If you lose, or die at any time, you will restart from the last lantern you lit. What are these lanterns? They are the only checkpoints you will ever get. Usually one lantern per massive size area. If that wasn't bad enough, all of the experience points, aka blood echoes you gained, will have been dropped. And this is where the major tension comes in. Those blood echoes are valuable, and if you lose them, you have one shot to pick them back up from where you previously died, or by taking them back from an enemy who picked them up. Fail to do so, and they are gone forever. And believe me, grinding for those bloody EXP echoes is not a fun process to repeat, since leveling up costs an arm and a leg the more you progress. Using one of the lanterns you find, you can escape to the hub world, where you can level up with many of the points you have gained, as well as use them to purchase, fortify, stock, and store weapons, items, and any other goods. You can also access secret dungeons here by offering chalices you find. You will also purchase new armors and clothing you can wear for different effects on your personal character too. With all you have learned, you will find the gameplay of Bloodborne to be like a dungeon-crawling hack-and-slash RPG Dungeons & Dragons simulator, complete with a very non-linear path. There could be literally hundreds of places to go and explore, secrets to find, monsters to fight, gorgeous sights to see, and many other insane effects to behold. If I had any cons against this game, it would have to go toward the loading time, as it's pretty annoying to sit through 40 seconds of loading screens each and every time you fail or die to an enemy, or if you happen to be loading a new area. However, I have heard that they are planning to patch this, so this could be a problem that may be rectified later. Bloodborne, I think, is really an adventure worth investing in. It's very hardcore, and truly feels like a game from the nostalgic days where your imagination ran wild, coming up with ideas about where to go and what to do, as the game does not hold your hand, but it does deliver subtle clues. Bloodborne also gives you gameplay that keeps you coming back for more and improving upon your techniques. Do not take each loss personally, as it will inevitably happen, but analyze what went wrong and strategize about how to accomplish the goal at hand. To even my surprise, we here at the Brotherhood of Gaming are giving Bloodborne a 9 out of 10, and a high recommendation for gamers seeking a thrill with a lot to do. Explore and fight.
Now, the one major flaw that Bloodborne might have is the same one that happened with the rest of the franchise that people may vary on. These games are notorious for being insanely difficult, demanding a lot of time to devote to strategy, level grinding, and a lot of trial and error. However, it's not impossible. With enough patience, you can definitely do it.
Yet still, that doesn't help when you realize that regardless, some of these enemies are very cheap, especially when you're ambushed. Oh, come on! I gotta get all those blood echoes again? That's not fair.
Son of a glitch.
Wait, what?
Bloodborne, the newest addition to the famed Souls franchise, tough as nails, hard as...
Okay, hold on a second. Who are you?
Well, you said yourself that Bloodborne was insanely difficult, so to help ease the trouble, Son of a Glitch is here to help you make use of some pretty interesting glitches that you can use to make the game a little easier.
Wow, you can really do that for me, voice from which I do not know where?
Indeed we can, William. Anything's possible when you're a son of a glitch.
Well, gee, that's pretty awesome. I'm always looking for interesting ways to break a video game, so lead on, Conscience.
I'm not your conscience.
God?
Anyway, today we're only going to focus on a couple of useful glitches, as quite a few of the more easily accessible ones have already been patched out. However, with clever timing and a lot of patience, you can actually gain a lot of blood echoes with minimal effort, and it's a lot of fun to do, and it can be done right at the start of the game for your convenience. Firstly, head out of the starting room to the first lantern in central Yharnam at the top of this ladder here. Make any preparations you need to at the start of the game in your hub world, such as collecting your gear and weapons, as they'll be needed to get the glitch started. Now make your way through the first section of the town square and go along the south side until you reach this gate here. Be sure to open the gate for a shortcut back should you fail the next step. After opening the gate and clearing out any of the monsters around you, notice the alleyway to the left and you'll see a bigger monster called an Executioner. Unfortunately, he happens to be in the way of the glitch, so you'll need to find a way to kill him as quickly as possible as he's quite formidable, although using Molotov cocktails is quite effective if done right. After dealing with him, you can finally begin the first part of the glitch. Get to the other side of the alley where the Executioner was and you'll notice two coffins right next to each other that you cannot break. If you try to walk on top of them, you can see your character do this small hop, like he's clipping between being on the ground and on top of the coffin. Our goal now is to get on the other side of this wall you see here and land in the cemetery. Doing so will give us access to later areas in the game you shouldn't be able to get to until you're near the end. Now normally this shouldn't be possible as your character's not suited to climb anything other than ladders, but here's how you do it. Get on the other side of the coffins right around here. What you want to do is build up some running speed. Now at the right angle, if you run at the coffins and press the roll dodge button just as your character reaches the coffins, the clipping animation you saw earlier should launch him really high in the air, high enough that you should land on the edge of the wall as you see here. It's a little tricky to do as timing is everything, but it's not really hard to accomplish once you get the flow down. Congratulations, you're one step closer to breaking the game. You shouldn't really be up on this ledge, but sadly you won't be able to just step over the wall to the cemetery. Luckily, while still on the ledge, if you run over to the right here, you'll see some sandbags stacked up against the wall. Moving along them, you can see your character once again clipping against them, implying that as before you can get some decent air with some good timing. On the other side of the bags, try to get some running speed and jump right as you touch the sandbags. You should jump or roll right over the bars and land in between the building. Be sure not to try this from the other side or too far away, as you might fall off and have to restart from the two coffins again. If you've successfully made the jump, you can then just run through the building and land in the cemetery. Immediately turn to your right and pull this lever here, and this will open the gate in front of you. Congratulations, you now have permanent access to this area for the rest of the game. While this glitch is extremely useful, it's only the first step in getting more blood echoes. From the cemetery, climb down this hole in the ground using these two ladders until you make it to the very bottom of the cavern. From this point on, try not to take any damage from enemies, as one unlucky blow might just be enough to kill you. Now that you're down here, take the exit you see on your left, and while sprinting, keep moving along the left wall. You'll be running through poisonous water, but if you're fairly quick, it shouldn't bother you too much. Run past the snakes until you come across this opening you see here. Continue to run upwards along its linear path until you exit the cavern, and you will now be in the Forbidden Woods. Follow the short path ahead of you and you'll then see several cages with 4 wolves inside them. With any weapon, make sure you kill all of the wolves in their cages, as they're absolutely essential in the next glitch.
If I may interject for a moment, this glitch is fun to do, but be forewarned. Should you choose to explore the Forbidden Woods, just outside of this area where the cages are, you will find some bad guys hanging around a wooden floor. Avoid the floor at all costs, as it's a trap for you to fall into. Should you fail to do so and fall into this trap, all of the wolves will be released from their cages, and they will never go back in, making this glitch forever impossible to do until you start a new game from scratch.
Pretty sneaky. Okay then, after you've killed the wolves, go back the way you came by following the same path back to the ladders leading you out into the cemetery. From here, make a left and go down this flight of stairs along the courtyard you see here with the tree. Quickly climb up this ladder in front of you to avoid fighting any strong enemies down here. Run along the buildings past these vultures until you enter the top floor of the clinic. Once inside, head right until you reach the next room, then open the doors in front of you and head down the stairs into the next room. You'll now find yourself in the beginning of the game, so continue running around in this same room and you should notice your blood echoes are now infinitely growing at a peculiar pace. The only thing we can guess on what's happening here is that those 4 wolves you killed earlier are somehow connected with this room. Not only that, but what has to be happening is they must be indefinitely respawning and dying in place repeatedly. The evidence of this is that the blood echoes you're gaining match the amount you gained from killing them earlier. It's certainly interesting.
What's cooler about this glitch is if you are attempting it on a New Game Plus, you will be gaining over 10,000 blood echoes repeatedly. On a normal run, you will be gaining just above 2,000. This glitch may not be as fun as slaughtering enemies for blood echoes, but ultimately it is a faster way, albeit time consuming. And if you liked this video, hit that like button, share it with everyone you know and love, and most importantly, subscribe for more from the Son of a Glitch series by clicking here.
And if you like this review from the Brotherhood of Gaming, be sure to like, comment, and of course subscribe to them as well for more video game greatness by clicking here. Keep on gaming, viewers!